and welcome to all of you. This Across the World episode brings you a very interesting conversation between Professor Balram Singh and Professor Jerry Saltman. They are discussing about the teaching methodologies and how to create an education system in which best education can be imparted to modern students.
Our goal in Inets is to make people self-reliant. Education, give them education so they become more self-reliant. That's
Yeah.
one number one. Number two is that we are thinking of using these students to create something,
Hmm.
not just teach them something. I don't think it's a very good idea to just think that you sit down and I will teach you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
think I and you have talked about that a little bit before.
Yes.
That
Yes, we have.
idea is to, and it is. I don't think it's a something earth-shaking idea. And it's not something completely new, but it is something that has been put aside for a long, long time
Mm-hmm.
because somehow whosoever is in charge has, of, academia or research, they somehow have convinced everybody that you need to listen to me for whatever number of hours, and then you
Yes.
will memorize it, and then you will write back to me, and that you will get a degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's makes a life. I mean, I really think this is a system of keeping people dependent,
Yeah.
controlling people. Don't think you getting them any freedom at all. And so that's, maybe some people want to do that. That's okay. My real issue is that are we utilizing the human resource
Mm-hmm.
of creativity and innovation and practicality and of these people to advance the knowledge,
Yeah.
and at the same time to teach people how to do and make a living out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very different, I don't know, Jerry, I feel like it's a very different concept. I think there will be a lot of pushback about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that this now more and more I'm thinking about the where the education has come from,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
where the universities come from. Have you ever thought about it?
No.
So
Yeah.
where the universities came, where the colleges came from, do you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've read uh, the classic the idea of a university, that book that was written back a century ago, and
So, and what,
it's
do you remember anything out of it?
it's by an Irish um, theologian philosopher who was very famous at the time for his academic thoughts. And he made a talk. He gave an inaugural when they opened a new university in Ireland. He was invited to make a presentation at the inauguration, and that presentation became a book, and it's called "The Idea of a University." And so I've read that book, but that's not what you mean.
No,
I
no.
cited some of that in a talk I gave at the Uberoi last year.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I think that's about, I mean, it's about right. The It comes from theologians, so that part is right. It
yeah,
comes from the church, and the system they used is they're really to teach theology.
yeah.
Their
Right.
basic
Yeah,
thing was to teach theology, and that I think it makes sense to what they did. It's
yeah,
like you listen to me for one number of n number of hours, and then you memorize it, and then spit it back to me, and so I know that you also can now talk about it to anybody.
yeah, yeah,
So that is reasonable. I don't see any problem with that. But unfortunately, that education is not limited, and that's not the process for people who really want to be free, innovative, and creative.
yeah, yeah,
Because that basically kills the creativity. Because the people who are teaching, they think they know, and they want you to know
yeah.
what they know, and they
Right.
want you to perpetuate
Yeah,
that
yeah.
know to
That's right.
everybody else. So
Yeah,
it's kind of very retrogressive, or at least not progressive.
yeah,
Uh, And then human beings are reduced to, whatever somebody says that I know. So
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, I'm not criticizing it. I think that's a reasonable way of doing, and they, we should applaud them that they created a system that,
Yes.
has allowed this a new expand it into other fields. But that
Yeah.
limitation remains, that classroom teaching, somebody
Mhm.
giving you lectures and you listening it, and you think you are learning. I think that is a real problem. So
Yeah.
I did some research, and you may remember, we had something that really ticked off Divina, because we had what was that, the something about university and faculty, something. I held a discussion forum in the library in 2013, I believe, where we had, all administrative university. I guess that was the topic.
Right.
And
Right.
there was a gentleman, I think from Johns Hopkins, I can't remember right now his name. He wrote
Yeah.
this book, and we
Yeah.
had this discussion,
Yes. Uh-huh.
and where where the word dean comes from.
No.
It comes from the church, where the dean is supposed to keep the people who are giving knowledge and the people who are
Yeah.
receiving the knowledge far apart. So there's kind of a middle person in the middle to avoid both sides mixing.
Yeah.
And the chancellor, of course, it comes from the church. And
Yeah.
the sorry, this phone is coming here. Um, sorry.
That might be mine.
So um,
No, that's yours.
yeah, yeah. So
The
the
chancellor came from what?
the
What? What?
chancellor also comes from the chancellery of the church.
Oh,
You
the
know that.
chancellery, of course. Yes, that's
So
right. Yeah.
all, I mean, it fits, right? Everything fits in
Yeah.
education system that was made for them, and
Yeah.
that makes sense. Why would that be? Most the religious places have, this idea of teaching the next generation, and that is
That's right.
just fine for whatever purpose that they have. I have no issues with that. I'm just
Right.
telling the dean and chancellor comes from there. What the provost comes from?
No.
It means, literally, it means prison keeper.
Ah, how about
So,
that? Yes.
so,
It's nice
so,
to be reminded of these things. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So now you see that the structure is that, the tradition is that, and the system is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there is nothing wrong with what their purpose is. That's, I think makes sense.
Yeah.
But the purpose I'm talking about is different. I want you to, the other way around. I want a
Yeah. Yeah.
student to become the source of
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I say source of learning, doesn't mean that they know. They can ask questions, and or they can bring in some information, and you start making sense of it. So it's
Yeah.
like a mutual learning. I,
Yeah.
I I mean, you have. I'm sure you have experience. I have experience. Um, because of students only,
Yeah.
I have become what I have become.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to create the system, so I'm part of the game. I
Yeah.
create the system. Like, I think I told you that, I may have told you that last time. Uh, 80% of the courses that I taught at UMass were
Mm.
created by me. I did not teach. I'm a biophysical chemist. I was hired as a biophysical chemist, so I did teach that course all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then I taught, like, undergraduate courses, whatever they told me to teach, which I didn't do anything. I just went and taught.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my level, I taught 7 8 courses I created, including chemistry of mind, science of kriya yoga, biological spectroscopy,
Yeah. Yeah.
fluorescence
Yeah. Yeah.
spectroscopy for biochemists, and biochemical techniques, all kind of stuff I created because I enjoyed creating them. Where I involved, I didn't use even textbook in most cases.
Mhm.
I use articles, or some chapters from here and there, and many things that I will add, and so
Yeah.
because it became very a good learning for me. Because if I
Yeah.
just start whatever was a standard thing, I will be following the real system structure and process
Mhm,
of
mhm.
the original university idea. I somehow
Yeah.
didn't follow, and
Mhm,
so I learned a lot in the process. And
mhm,
I think my accomplishment, if I have any, is in teaching and research is really primarily because of the students,
mhm.
and where we created a system. Number one, open door policy for the students. They do what they want to do, with guidance. If they have some question, not like, oh, I have set up thing for you to do. I never had such a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's like almost like, having family, and then everybody is allowed to go do some things and bring back to the family, and there is a diversity in the family, and so you can take care of all kind of situations.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
this is no different, and but we know the theology is not like that.
Mm.
Theology knows, they know what they are telling you,
Yeah, yeah.
and they want you to know only that, not anything anymore of
Yes,
that. And
that's
if,
important. Yeah,
if
yeah,
you, if
yeah, yeah.
you in case of church, if you somehow, I mean, the church have different kind of, Baptist and Methodist and whatever, whatnot.
Yeah.
So if you don't follow whatever their indoctrination is, their way of doing it, I mean, everybody is studying Bible, but
Yeah,
for their own
yeah,
tinge to it.
yeah.
And so you don't belong. I mean, you don't belong to Methodist and Baptist and Presbyterian. You don't belong to all of them. You belong to one of them, right? You can't belong to one from the other. So,
Yeah,
so it makes sense, that they want to make sure that everything's preserved.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not the purpose of biotechnology. I guess that's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
yes, yes, yes. Well, that's why Harvard is our oldest university, the first
Yeah.
university in America, because we needed ministers. That was one of the first things we needed in America, right? So
Yeah. Somebody
people
might.
funded and built Harvard University to train ministers.
I didn't know that. So Harvard Divinity School is the first one then?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have,
1640 something.
yeah, it's 1600 something. I just didn't know whether that
Yeah,
divinity school was the first.
yeah, and it was strictly for training ministers. That's all. Yeah,
So there you go. I mean, that kind of fits it with what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. Right. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
anyway, now it trains presidents. Now
yeah,
Harvard trains presidents.
yeah, we have Harvard trained president, and they are doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of the same thing.
Hope you liked the discussion, and if you really like our programs, please do share our programs, and please do not forget to subscribe our TCN Media channel to get notifications of our upcoming programs. So thank you for watching our episode and take care. Goodbye.